Welcome to my channel, Her Best Mission Chronicles. Tonight, I'm bringing you a story so intense, so raw, and so deeply cinematic that by the end, you will feel like you've lived every moment beside her. Settle in, turn your sound up, and get ready for a mission tale unlike anything you've heard before. She had always slept lightly. Years of deployments did that to a person, but after 72 hours without rest, even the nation's best Navy SEAL could fall into a sleep deeper than steel. Her name, Lieutenant Commander Aria Hale, the woman who once crawled through a collapsing Afghan tunnel with 2 Marines on her back. The woman who swam 5 miles in freezing water just to position a beacon that saved 30 hostages. The woman who, if you asked any commander who feared nothing, she was the one thing they feared. But that night, she slept. And because she slept, the Admiral made a mistake he didn't know would shake the entire naval command. The ship hummed around her, low, steady, powerful. The USS Resolute cut through the Pacific in the dead of night. Most of the crew slept or rotated quietly through their shifts. The air smelled of oil and saltwater, drifting through vents with the rhythm of a sea creature breathing. In her quarters, Aria had barely made it to her bunk. She didn't even remove her boots. She had been the lead SEAL on an extraction that went south, was dragged through mud, rocks, gunfire, and chaos. But she had done it. Her team survived. She earned her rest. She did not earn what was about to happen. At 0300, Admiral Cyrus Dent, stern, iron-faced, a man with more temper than tact, walked the quiet hallway. His steps were sharp, like a scalpel cutting through silence. He had argued with Aria earlier. Argued loudly. Argued stupidly. He claimed she undermined his authority in front of junior officers when she corrected a tactical miscalculation in the briefing room. She had simply spoken truth. He hated truth from anyone who wasn't himself. And so, in a moment of arrogance, resentment, and the kind of pride that destroys men, he unlocked her door with his master key. Aria never stirred. He stood over her sleeping form, looking down at the loose braid that fell across her shoulder, thick, dark, symbolic. SEALs kept hair tight, but Aria kept hers long and braided during deployment. It wasn't regulation, until she proved her worth 1,000 times over. The brass made quiet exceptions for warriors who saved nations. Her braid was her story, her promise, her discipline woven into strands. But to the Admiral, blinded by ego, it was an opportunity to remind her who was in charge. He took his knife and with a single, deliberate slash, he cut off her braid. He held it in his hand, smirking, as if he'd won some invisible battle. He left it on her pillow like a warning. And he closed the door behind him, still unaware whose wrath he had just invited. Morning came like a slap. The sun hit the steel decks with white-hot brightness. Announcements echoed over the ship. Crew members shuffled to their posts. Aria felt something unusual the second she opened her eyes, a lightness on her head. A disturbance. Then she saw it, her braid, cut, severed, dead on her pillow. It was the first time in 10 years that her heart failed to beat evenly. Her breath slowed, her fingers curled, her vision tunneled with a fury so cold it could freeze oceans. SEALs didn't cry, not because they were emotionless, but because they were trained to channel everything into purpose. And today, that purpose was clear. She stood up slowly, boots hitting the floor with a weight that seemed to shake the room. She unwrapped the cloth around the braid, cupping it gently, with a reverence only warriors understood. Then she slipped it into her uniform pocket. By the time she stepped into the hallway, crew members stiffened. Something about the way she moved, the quiet intensity, made even the toughest petty officers flatten themselves against walls. No one dared speak. A storm was walking among them. News traveled faster than sound on a ship. The Admiral had no idea the crew already knew. Sailors whispered, engineers exchanged glances, even the cooks had heard before breakfast was served. Cutting someone's hair wasn't just disrespect. On a SEAL, it was sacrilege. On Aria Hale, it was suicide. The XO, Commander Briggs, intercepted her on the way to the bridge. Aria, listen. She didn't stop walking. Briggs swallowed hard and followed. The Admiral didn't mean. Her eyes turned toward him, not angry, just cold. Where is he? Briggs exhaled sharply. She's going to kill him, he thought. He's on the bridge, he said aloud. Good. The bridge doors hissed open and conversations died mid-sentence. Every officer froze. The Admiral, standing with hands behind his back, pretending he hadn't spent the night fueling a disaster he couldn't control, turned just in time to see her step forward. Her chopped hair brushed her collar. Her jaw was tight, her eyes, unblinking. The ship felt smaller suddenly. "Lieutenant Commander Hale," he began, clearing his throat. "I trust you are prepared for duty." She said nothing. Silence weighed heavy, pressing against every chest. He began again, "If you intend to file a complaint about—" She stepped closer. "Sir," she said quietly, "I would like to ask a question." The Admiral nodded, hiding a nervous twitch. "Proceed. What made you think," she whispered, "you could touch my person? My property, my dignity?" Her voice was calm, too calm. "Know your place, Lieutenant Commander. You embarrassed me in front of my officers. Consider this a correction." "A correction?" Briggs shut his eyes. A few junior officers flinched. Someone whispered, "Oh no." Aria stepped closer until she stood inches from the Admiral. And then something unexpected happened. She didn't punch him, didn't shout, didn't threaten. She removed the severed braid from her pocket, placed it slowly on the captain's table, and spoke words so steady, the entire bridge went tense. "You did not cut my hair," she said. "You cut your own authority." The Admiral scoffed. "Is that so?" Aria nodded once. "Sir, the men and women on this ship don't obey rank. They obey respect. And now, you have none." Gasps rippled. A few officers went pale. The Admiral stepped back, face flushing with fear and anger. "How dare you speak to me like—" The intercom burst alive. "General Norton on secured line for Admiral Dent, Priority 1. The timing was uncanny. The Admiral pressed the button with trembling fingers. "Dent here." Norton's voice boomed loud enough for half the bridge to hear. "Dent, what the hell did you do to Lieutenant Commander Hale?" Dent stammered. "General, I already received the crew's report. You assaulted a SEAL in her sleep. Have you lost your mind?" The Admiral's jaw dropped. Aria looked at the officers around her, every single one watching her with a respect deeper than obedience. Norton continued, "Hale is the most decorated female SEAL in the entire United States Navy. She saved 5 diplomats last year alone. She uncovered a terrorist cell in the Philippines. She has done more for national security than you have in your entire career." Dent's throat tightened. "General, if I may explain." "You'll explain it to the review board," Norton growled. "As of this moment, you are suspended from duty. Commander Briggs, take command until we find a replacement." The bridge went dead silent. Admiral Dent stared, speechless, humiliated, destroyed by the consequences of his arrogance. Briggs stepped forward, voice steady. Sir." The call ended. Dent turned slowly toward Aria, shame washing over him like a wave. Aria didn't smirk, didn't celebrate, didn't look triumphant. She simply picked up her braid, tucked it back into her pocket, and turned to leave. But before she reached the door, Briggs called out, "Hale." She paused. "You're not just respected, you're needed." Her eyes softened, just slightly. In the entire bridge, every officer, every enlisted sailor, stood at attention as she walked out. Not because protocol demanded it, but because honor did. Aria stepped onto the deck, the morning sun breaking like fire across the horizon. Wind touched her face, lifting the shorter strands of her hair. She closed her eyes, letting the ocean air fill her lungs. Pain still sat inside her, but pain never defined her. She pulled her braid from her pocket, held it one last time. Then placed it gently into a sealed pouch. It wasn't just hair, it was memory, it was sacrifice, it was the story of every battle she'd fought. She would carry it until she earned the time to grow it back. And she would, because Aria Hale wasn't just a SEAL. She was a force that reshaped the Navy around her. When the sun hit her face again, she opened her eyes. And she smiled. Tomorrow, another mission awaited. Another battle, another chance to protect the people who now stood behind her. The braid may have been cut, but her spirit, unbreakable. Thank you for watching this emotional and cinematic story on Her Best Mission Chronicles. If this story moved you, if it inspired you, if it made you feel the fire of courage in your chest, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. More powerful missions and unforgettable heroes await in the next video.